Hello everyone, we will start the post-trauma class or tools or setup. It's a routine. And today we will see some neurologic mechanism and what to do. This post-trauma program is the program we did with refugee children in Syria. So it works very well. So then we realized we could do this routine and this program for anybody at any age. But at the beginning, it was thought for little children, like from 6 to 10 years old, and then you can adapt to whatever age. If you have if you have elders, we go more slowly, that's all, so they don't get dizzy. So for today, we will see more the theory, the part of the brain, the neurology of the trauma, where it is located, which is all over the body actually, and what to do to remove it. There is a debate. It's not really that you remove the trauma, but the access to it. So it just blocked the access, which is great, and it's very fast. So this is part of the routine. We have to, the routine will attend. Let's see if I can do it like this. Yeah. All part of the brain. So just a quick review. We will attend the reptilian brain and the part behind, or the surviving brain. We will attend the emotional brain or the midbrain and the neocortex, especially the back part of the neocortex, which is the vision area. And of course, the fourth brain, which is the front lobe, which is the front of the front part of the brain. And this is called the fourth brain by some researcher. Or we can see like that. I'm going to put like this. And this is the same with education, actually. To attend the survival part, like the kids to know they are safe. Physically, they are safe, they have food, they have water, they have a shelter. This is basic. Then we go up to the emotional, all the affective contention, feel safe emotionally. Nobody will shout at me, and I will be loved and I can love freely. And then we go to the part of the neocortex with the right and left lobes equally attended. And then we go to the prefrontal and frontal lobe, which is the future and any act of empathy. Then we go to the process of the trauma. Can you see the picture here? I'm going to put this here. Do you remember this one, Mercedes? Put your microphone on.
I remember this is when.
Yes. Can you tell us?
The fear scare you feel for the eyes, yeah.
Yeah. Can you? Do you have more sound? Okay.
The thing is, we have two phones close, so. Let me put the computer. I'm so shy now. Yes, then always the scare, everything is coming for the eyes.
Yeah.
And also for the shoulders.
Okay.
And what is the name for this? Huh? Colors. And the colors. Colors. Yes. The when you are scared, it's coming for that way. And it's coming for your brain. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Brain, sorry. I still
Perfect.
learn.
So let's say we will see one of the process. Let's say there is a snake. So of course, the first part of the body impact will be the eyes in this case, especially the muscle around the eyes, extraocular muscles. And there is always an impact. That's why all therapy will have some eye movements as a process of de-traumatize or de-process the trauma. Then it will go, and sometimes it's the sight. It can be the sound as well, like a bomb.
Yes.
Or shouting, but usually it will be 20%. Or it can be a smell, or it can be the touch. But usually I would say like 80% of the trauma will start with the sight, with the eyes.
80%. The trauma starts with the eyes.
But it can be as well the sound, and it can be the smell, and it can be the touch as well. But the process is about the same. So it will go, all the impact will go first to the thalamus. And the thalamus decide if there is a danger or there is no danger. For instance, the thalamus can say, oh, this is not a bad snake, it's not venomous, and nothing is happening. So just relax. Or the thalamus said, yes. That's perfect. This is dangerous, and then there is two processes. When the thalamus decides it's dangerous, that's why, or the belief, he believes it's dangerous. That's why the belief system is very important here. He believes all the snakes are bad, for instance, because maybe an ancestors died from a snake poison. So this is very important, this part. So let's say now the thalamus said, yes, this is dangerous, very dangerous. So we have two paths. First, the image will go in the back of the brain to the visual cortex and will imprint. And this is very hard to take it out after that. It's like an impression or a photo. And this image, and people say, I have this image all the time. So we have to disconnect this image after that. And then the second path will go from the thalamus to the amygdala, which is the fear center. And from the fear, it will go to several parts of the body as a reaction to fear, which are shoulders, calves, skin, stomach, and so on. So when we want to attend this trauma, you have to go back to the eyes, to the image, and to the part of the body that were impacted. That's why it's called biotrauma, because it goes to the cell and gets imprint, or it gets, the memory will stay on the cell level. So far, so good?
Yes. Sorry, I understand value question before.
Can you put some more sound,
Yes.
please?
I say to you, I didn't understand what you questioned before, and I was nervous because what. Yes, and now I can remember. Yeah. Sorry.
Good.
Yes.
Belief system. Remember, the thalamus and all the belief system is very important in the process as well. So there is some research from Victor Caeiros Faibert, and this is from Venezuela, and it talks about the mental runes or runas. Not the runas from the north of Europe. The runas is a pattern or a belief system. So it will say between the two left brain and right brain, there is an imprint. There is a place, and actually it's right here. Maybe Algirdas or Mercedes, do you want to read this slide to understand how the beliefs gets ingrained or gets imprinted in the energetic system?
And it's made up of a substance called beta-sarcoglycan, the figure that's inside is the symbol seal, and it's imprinted by bioenergetic impulses in the cerebroglobin,
Yeah,
sent by the senses organs when the evolving vehicle is experimenting the situation for the first time. That's when you record it like that. And they're called runes because the word rune means seal, stamp, print, die, recording, symbol, brand, or matrix, pattern, mold, or cast, something like that. Imprint, basically.
correct.
It's by electronic impression. It's encoded folder, mental rune. It can be, I would assume, then feeling rune as well.
Correct. And here we have two things. First, when the person, let's say, have this imprint or this belief or whatever happened, for the first time, it will pass down to the generation. So maybe if your ancestor was afraid of a spider, all of a sudden you're afraid of a spider, even though it's not yours, because it will pass down through the cerebroglobulins and it will just stay there. And the second one is it's an electromagnetic, a bioenergetic impulse or electromagnetic impulse or bioelectronic impression. So to take it away or to change it, we use that. It has to be a electromagnetic field, and we will see how. And this is called actually gravitational or gravitational waves. And when you know the mechanism, you can take it away. And the technique will be tomorrow. So that's more or less a theory of this researcher, Victor Kairos. That's all the beliefs imprinted in the cerebroglobulin. You just erase, and the two brains can function again synchronously, also together, meaning they will go naturally to alpha waves. This is a connection between the two brains we want. And for that, the all beliefs and things we don't need, we have to release. That is part of the biotrauma release. That's one. So far, so good. The other one, the fear. Remember, the beliefs was a thalamus, and the fear is we have special, specific places in the body. Coughs because we want to, when there is some fear, we want to flee away. So we will contract the calves to run very fast. And then the calves will have this tension, and it means danger. Eye muscles, extraocular muscles, that's all therapy will use that, eye movement. The shoulder, they have a lot of stress, so it's very nice to release through the shoulders. Pit of the stomach, and this is from my teacher, it's called Ricardo Beltramino. He taught us most of the techniques of these classes. Now he passed away, so I have to thank him for having given us all this information. The skin, actually all the skin. So we will see, for instance, when we roll over, like we did last time, all the skin is activated and we will release the stress or the fear and all limbic system. A few words about the tears. To cry hard is okay when it's on the spot. Like if you have a bad news or something and we cry, it's a good release because we have this opioid peptide. It's a neurotransmitter like opium. So it will, of course, release, reduce pain, improve mood right away. But it's still the opium family, so you can get addicted to it. So that's why people sometimes they want to cry again and cry again and cry again. And this is a very fast way, or it's a good path for depression, because then it's a cycle. It will be a cyclic habit, I will say. So for emergency, tears are okay. But then for therapy and for the children, we use always laughing. because we have much more benefit from laughing. We have the beta endorphins, the dopamine, serotonins, several of them, oxytocin, which is very pleasant. The level of cortisol will go down. The homeostasis process will go up. That means the balance of all the functions of the body will regulate themselves, and it will release negative emotion. So this is something I learned sometimes, for instance, in Middle East, when we had the workshop on any topics, actually, education, peace, and of course the post-trauma, they were always laughing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I knew that they were laughing for 1 hour. And I knew it was part of a healing process, and it was very important. So we would never program an activity at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We would have this laughing therapy. Naturally, it was very amazing. Like I would say anything and they were laughing, laughing, laughing. When I understood, of course, they were not laughing at me, they were releasing through all the beautiful neurotransmitters of the laughing, endorphin, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and so on. And with children, because I didn't want, when we were doing the post-trauma with children, any kind of crisis, or I do say when, yeah, I would say crisis, because they would remember something very sad. So by a lot of movement and by having a very fast routine with many interesting things to do, we never had like bad crisis or crying, actually. This is it was very important for us. Now we have to attend as well. When all this is attended, we need to go to the frontal lobe. It's called frontal lobe reconstruction, meaning a good activation of the frontal lobe, of this part of the brain here. It can be frontal and prefrontal lobes. It's beautiful because it's then when we have the whole activation of action, vision of the future, empathy, humanitarian activities or deeds or service. And when this is activated, this is when we learn and act at all speed and at a very high level of consciousness. So here we had this, we can see here. Let's say the brain here has a little activation. The task has no motivation. I mean, it's not interesting. It's boring. So nothing is activated here. And the part of the brain for the task is very, I mean, there is some very little activation. On the contrary, if we have a high motivation, it's very interesting. Maybe it's your project or something you really like, or you decided to do and learn. You have the part of the brain you need more activated, plus the front lobe. And then we have this beautiful mirror. There is a lot of mirror neurons here in the front lobe. So they are more activated. Empathy is growing up. Connection with others are going up. Action, execution. So it's beautiful. It's when the human being is more free and can do what he wants and needs. So there is some, as well, some activities to develop this part of the brain. But after, first we attend the reptilian survivors and emotion, then the two part of the brain, and we finally arrive here. And again, to laugh, it's a very good trigger, an activator of the frontal lobe to do something for something like collaboration, something for free, something you want to do to help people. It will be like maybe humanitarian help, or something you want to do for free to help people, or something you do for pure altruism. And this part of the brain, when it's activated, you can really see the future, cope with the future, care for others, and find your life purpose. That's why it's so important. So at the end of the routine, we always activate a little bit this part, so people, now they don't have this trauma, they can see the future and do something practical with it. And retake their life in their hands. I say that because once I had a post-trauma session, and the person I was doing with the person, so as a model, I mean, to do the exercise because it was online and we had nobody. And I remember this person said, "Oh, can I have my trauma back? Because it was my purpose of life. That's why it was in China. He said, I'm in China because of this trauma. Now I don't have this trauma, so I don't find my purpose." And I said, "Oh, okay. When you get rid of your trauma, right away, you grab your purpose of life, the new one, the big one, the one why you were born." And then it took him one day of like being between the two. And second day, he said, "Okay, now I have a greater purpose and it's okay. I don't want my trauma back." So always right away, we see the next step, which is why we are here and I have other goals. And it's beautiful. So summary, I'm blocked by fear because the biotrauma is a combination of different things. I'm blocked by my belief. For instance, if I believe I will never heal, we will never heal. I mean, it's like we don't even do the session. Remember that, Mercedes? We always ask people if they want to do the session, if they want to do the post-trauma, if they want to do the routine. And my teacher used to say, if they don't want to, just don't do it because it won't work. And then they will say, you see, it doesn't work. So we always ask, and for the children, the same. Do you want to be good? Do you want to feel good in the heart? Yes, yes. So when we have the yes, it's amazing because it's like, it's already the order to your DNA, to yourself, to your being, to your cells at all levels, that the healing process is on and is starting. So 1, fear. 2, believe. 3, the image. We have to take care of this image because if not, the image will go back and back, and we will see how. And we will, actually we will do it with colors because the colors, this is what my teacher said. I didn't check. Maybe Algirdas has more information, but there is a trend or theory that all information, all memory, all items in our memory is codified with a color, and the color will be the access to this memory. So by acting with colors or do chromotherapy, we help to connect or unconnect to the memory according to what we want. Do you have some information on that? That colors helps the memory, the access to the memory.
I really know. That's something new for me.
Hello?
I said it's new for me. I never heard about it before.
Yeah, it would be nice to investigate, to research on that, but it will make sense. That the white color therapy or anything with chromotherapy is so powerful because you can access.
I heard that the laughter is a good medicine for everything, and it's like especially after you get scared or like negative emotion, it's good to laugh. So it basically neutralizes everything.
It's good for many things. Actually, they use it in the hospital too. I'm going to close the window because I have too much noise here. Then how we unlock that? The eyes, that would be the fear. The intention, I can. And then with the image, we heal with the opposite color, with sound and with light. So we have the 3 levels. We attend the 3 of them: fear, belief, and the image. You can image or sound, or smell, or touch. But basically, as I said, 80% will be the image. So we always do something with the image anyway. What I call catalyzer, I think in English is catalyzer. We never can be wrong with a lot of love and positive contention. You feel safe. And I have two more. Laugher or laugh, as we said already, and the Fibonacci shape. And we will see later why and what it is. Meaning, whatever is a technique with those three catalyzer, we know we are going to go fine. And a lot of movement, we go fine. A lot of movement, a lot, because of all the INAs, endorphins, and some dopamine and serotonins as well. So what we can do now, this is the same here. We did the movement with the eyes, right? Like last time?
Mm-hmm.
Can we repeat the movement? Mercedes, do you remember? You go facing Algirdas and you go left, right, up, down, and circle. Can you do it in front of the camera? And I'm going to see here. So it will be like this. Yeah. And you don't move your head. Or you can hold your chin to make sure yeah, perfect. Or you can hold yourself. Algirdas, you want to hold your chin like that and make sure you don't move your yeah. Don't move, don't move your face, just the eyes. So we go with the eyes, we go right, 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 right. We go left, 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 and twice. As far as you can without moving the head. Perfect, very good. The other way. Actually, it's a yoga movement. They do it in yoga as well. Perfect. Now, up, 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 up. Yeah, with just the eyes, not the face. And down, 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 down. Very good. Down, down, down. One more. Up, 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 up. Down, 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 down. And now circles. So with the children, we do it with a ball of colors. Perfect. Very good. Excellent. So with children, sometimes they do pair of three. I mean, I don't know in English a pair of three, but 3 persons. One kid just take the head very slowly so they won't move. The other person is here, and the person in the front will just do the movement with the hands. So they learn how to do it together. And the person who take the head is very soft. So they learn how to be soft, and it's almost a crânio, how do you say crânio, comment dice c'est crânio sacral? There is a therapy when you touch the brain very slightly. So they learn that. If not, they can do two or they can do oneself as well, but it's harder. I prefer to have them 3 by 3. They do it better. So one in the back, take the head with permission. Can I hold your head? Yes. So they make sure they don't turn like this or like this. And then the other person makes sure it goes ta 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 without moving all the way, all the way, all the way. So that way we start to unblock the part of the eyes. And we have a good deal of releasing here. Why? Because when we sleep, actually, every night, our eyes are moving. This is a part of the REM part of the sleep, rapid eye movement, sleeping, rapid eye movement period of the sleep, when you are in deep sleeps. So naturally, the eyes will move when we sleep, like processing all the traumas of the previous day, or little traumas, see? So it's a very natural movement. But if the trauma is very strong and the impact is so strong, the natural movement we do at night are not sufficient. So we have to recreate artificially, up, down, circle, sometimes diagonal. With children of the street, for instance, or who lives in the street, we do juggling, malabarismo. So naturally they will move all the eyes by just doing all the, in English, jungling.
Juggling.
When you have all the balls.
Juggling. Juggling.
Juggling. So it's very good for us, for therapy as well, juggling. And if you do some yoga, there is yoga movement as well, when all the eyes are involved, and we move all the eyes, and the circle as well is good. Perfect. I'll go back. So that's for the eyes. Then we will see tomorrow with the calf, we do a nice stretch. Then we have all this routine with the intention, and then all the routine with the color and the sound. So tomorrow we will see one by one. So we use as well brain gym, because it makes the brain more alert or agile. We do a lot of movement. It's called psychomotor healing movement or games. And then here we introduce all the movement we use for special education or for rehabilitation. So all the movement we will see tomorrow are calculated for something, like for the limbic system, for the skin, for the laterality, for the release of fear. And it's a specific set of movement. Then we do, of course, the ocular movement. We do some exercise for self-esteem. We do the color. It's called the sphere of colors, which is the techniques of Dr. Beltramino. And it's very easy with children. We can do it with solar light, but it's harder and it's longer. So we don't do it with children. It's called the chromatic therapy with solar light from Oscar Sanmache, who is another teacher of us. And he taught about light, sound, geometry a lot. Then we do the sound, the bilateral, lateralized sound. Or it's called binaural sounds. We do the touch, which is a tapping from Dr. Kayahan. We do the Fibonacci, the laughing, among others techniques. And so says when we put all of them together, it's called the routine, the main routine. For the children, just to remind everybody that playtime and when they move is when they reprocess naturally and healing and balancing emotion and the trauma of the day or whatever things that annoy them during the day. So when we force a child not to play or to be still, it's almost a crime because they can't reprocess and they can't get rid of all the small stress and traumas of the day. So this is very important to tell parents and schools, let them move, let them play. If not, after that, they are like my age, 50 years old, and we have to do the whole post-trauma routine because we didn't let them play. Really, I'm serious, I'm serious. This is a famous Fibonacci. We use it at the end of the routine. because it will remind all the cells and all the levels of the beings the perfection of the creation, because our creation is based on these figures and on this sequence.
Okay.
And it's very easy, or we just follow with a finger like nya, or we walk on it, or we just put on the wall, but we do something with it. And maybe you know this method in Bulgaria in Spanish. There is a method called Suggestopedia from Dr. Lozanov. And Dr. Lozanov said, always use the Fibonacci and the golden proportion in education and whatever exercise you do. And that was 50 years ago. And actually the Greek was saying that too, and the Egyptian and the ancient tradition is not new at all. But we use it as a therapy tool. Colors. So remember, let's say we have a trauma and my image is all red because of the blood of something, of an accident of my parents. Where we was with the children of Syria, some children, that was very bad. I mean, some of them have witnessed the killing of their parents in front of their own eyes or families member. So it's very hard. So this image will stay. So now we will say we will take all the colors of the spectrum. Let's say, just an example. My trauma is red because it's blood and it's imprint here. I have the image here. So I will take here red. I will take the opposite, green, and I will work with green. And the green will erase the access to the red. I will show you how later. Or let's say my trauma is, I don't know, yellow. So I will use violet. You see, we always use the opposite. If your image, or if I close my eyes and my image is gray, brown, black, we use all the colors. So my teacher, Beltramino, he was using all the colors. And with children or with a group, we use all the colors to make sure one is the correct one. If it's one-to-one session or healing session, we can go deeper, ask for the image, ask for the colors, and we will use the opposite one. And it's even more. For instance, it's red, I want to use green. The sound of green is fa, is by chakra. So we go do, re, mi, fa will be here. So the sound will be fa, and we work with the sound as well. When we are with a group, again, we use all the sounds, all the notes. One will work. And with all the colors, one will work. And it does, actually. So when we don't know, we put everything. Okay, because colors, it's a frequency. So again, I will take my red, let's say. Everything is frequency. Actually, it's all about waves and frequency, as Tesla will say always. So our thinking, when you throw the other color or the other frequency, it will just make the whole thing to zero. It will, ¿cómo dices anular? It will cancel the wave. You see? If I have red and I send green, our thinking at the beginning, we were going to go back to zero. Then when I saw that from the physical point of view, it's called stationary or standing waves or resonance. So again, let's say you have two waves. You have a blue and you have a red. If you send the two, like say this one, you send the other one, when they meet, they don't cancel each other. They create a third one, bigger, more stable, and it's called a standing wave or stationary waves. So this is the beauty with post-trauma. It's not like we go back to zero and that's it, it's all over. We create something bigger and it's called resilience, and it's a beautiful wave. So that's why it works so well. What we want at the end is a big waves, this one, and it's a stationary waves. And it's stable. That's why you have this feeling of stability, of security, of contention after the session. It's not like you feel a zero. Oh, I'm zero again and I'm empty. On the contrary. Does that make sense? This I took it from the website. Maybe it's not really scientific, but the idea behind the concept of being fulfilled after a session is because of that. Do you understand what I want to say? Yes. And during the routine, we will use the 3 different waves. We will use the mechanical waves, we will use the electromagnetic waves and the gravitational waves. Mechanical waves is like mechanical, as the name is indicating. So it's like, for instance, if I do waves with this is completely mechanical. The sound as well, because it goes through the ear, and the gravity waves. So that's why we do a lot of movement. So all the cells are moving and they have this mechanical ordering itself. It's like when you have a pan and you put beans and you move the beans like that, the beans will accommodate themselves because of the movement. Or sometimes you have even the baby, you just move the baby slowly, of course, so it will accommodate itself. It's the same with our cells. We move a lot, especially the head and the rotating movement, and it will accommodate. Nobody could explain to me why. I have to be honest, but it does work. So when the kids roll, or roll like that, or when we shake, which is the techniques from Dr. I will give you the name later. Is it a technique where you shake? Well, no, it makes people shaking during one day. In the routine, we do it during 1 minute. And the shaking will accommodate. Even this doctor doesn't know why it works, but it does work. Actually, in nature, when you are afraid or something happened, you naturally will shake. And that's a reaccommodation of the cells. So my theory, it will work by mechanical waves, but we should do more investigation. But what I know, it works. Then we have the electromagnetic waves. That's why we work with colors. And this can propagate in the void. That's why you can receive waves from the stars, for instance. This is interesting too, but that's another class. And the last one is gravitational waves, which is more like a quantum physics concept. And the definition will be the geometry of time-space, meaning these waves are themselves alteration of time-space. But to make it more simple, it's like intention. Intention is a gravitational waves, and with intention, I can change my time-space environment or my time-space, I will say tissues of frequency. That's the 3 kind of waves we know so far. And during the routine, we use the 3 of them. So the poor trauma, he has no way to go. I mean, he's trapped. Something is going to happen with this using the 3 method. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we have the visual cortex in the back. That's why we work with the color. And here we have the auditory cortex. So we use sound. We use binaural sound. Binaural sound is when you have the sound is slightly not in phase or disphases. I don't know in English. For instance, the music of Dr. Monroe, binaural beats. You can find in YouTube too, but the quality has to be very good. If not, it doesn't work really. So sometimes there's some music, you have this music, binaural music. You put your headphones, and then it will automatically arrange and reorder the brain. It works like that. Let's say here I will send 315 hertz tone, but here at the other here at the other ears or ear, we have another tone like 325 hertz. So when it goes at the center of the brain, you subtract. So in that case, it will be 10 hertz. And this is the binaural beats. And 10 hertz, 8, 9, 10 hertz is alpha waves. And alpha waves is always healing. So sometimes people, they don't know why it works. We do it with a voice, but we can do it with headset in private session. And you do like maybe 8 to 10 minutes max. And there is always an healing process because we enter an alpha waves. Let's see if I have my waves. See, alpha waves, it will be 9 to 13 hertz. And this is when the healing will be. We can't have healing in beta waves. It has to be alpha waves and above.
What about theta? Theta is nice. Huh?
Can you put your sound on?
Theta is a good one.
Alpha, theta, delta, and gamma as well. This is what we want, right?
Yeah. I heard that theta is used for the, rewriting the unconscious, subconscious. You need to just come back to the almost sleep, like, drowsing, and then you can rewrite your subconscious.
It will be theta.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will be 4 to 8 hertz.
Yeah, or less.
Correct. Okay. Good. And this is, thank you. And this is the 3 levels we want. We want the brain to be integrated, all the part of the brain, and connect to the heart, because the heart has a very strong electromagnetic field, especially magnetic field, like 5,000 more than the brain, which is huge. And we want a good anchoring, like on Earth. That's why at the end of the routine, we like to stamp or to have some kind of dance where your energy will be connected to Earth. Not only the brain, it's brain, heart, it connection to the Earth, and do something, action, the hands. This is a complete cycle. Because of the electromagnetic field we are actually, and it's generated by the heart. So actually there is a routine 2 and 3 and 4 dealing with that. But for today, we are going to see only the number 1, which is main one, the major one when we take the trauma away. Let me see here. And the recommendation, of course, I had to talk about that. The recommendation is after that, as a follow-up, especially when we are with children, we always recommend to go on with the 7 petal schools. So they have a lot of sport, they have the cognitive development fun and active, they have the social aspect and no violent culture, no violent communication and peace culture and multicultural approach. And then they have art and express themselves. They have ecology, hands-on to do with their hands and personal development. So that's what we do as Pedagogy 3000 or Education 3000. And we have books in English about that. And this is the website.
Okay.
So before we go to the other slides, I'm going to stop here. This is for part 1. Before we go to part 2, let's see if you have questions.